I have to tell you, though, there were definitely times around that time, 2018, 2019, where I was like, this is crazy. Like, there's so many competitors coming into the market. It felt like there were like 50 different PMSs at these trade shows that we'd go to. And I was like, well, how are we possibly going to make it through? I remember just asking myself, like, is this a worthy problem for us to be working on? Property managers needed a way to get reservations. The OTAs, like the online travel agencies, Airbnb, Booking.com, and Vrbo, were just at that time releasing APIs so that we could connect, right, a system that would allow property managers to facilitate reservations and really run their business and generate revenue. I feel so lucky because it was around the time when I understood what was going on, that the industry was also sort of like maturing into this new state where something that had not been possible before was now possible.
You also said that you feel that the industry is entering a more demanding chapter. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think it's really being led by...
Property management at scale is about more than just rent rolls and maintenance calls. It's about protecting your assets, delivering stellar guest experiences, and scaling operations without losing quality. Welcome to Minute by Minute, a show where industry leaders share unfiltered stories, proven strategies, and real solutions for operating at scale. I'm your host, Nils Mattisson, CEO of MÜNUT, and together we will dive deep into what it really takes to keep your properties safe, efficient, and protected. Let's get started. Today I'm joined by Margot Schmorak, CEO and co-founder of Hostfully, one of the most recognized property management software platforms in the short-term rental industry. Since founding Hostfully in 2015, Margot has scaled the company to support over 40,000 properties worldwide, building a platform that spans distribution, direct bookings, payments, automation, and digital guidebooks. Before launching Hostfully, Margot worked at Apple on the iPhone developer program and later led marketing and strategy for a $200 million business unit at ServiceSource, giving her a rare blend of product, enterprise strategy, and growth experience. In this conversation, we explored what it means for the industry to be entering a more demanding chapter, how your team's knowledge helps AI deliver higher customer satisfaction scores, and why the physical experience of a vacation rental hasn't kept pace with the software around it. Margot, welcome to Minute by Minute. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you went from Apple and enterprise strategy to building SaaS for vacation rental managers. What drew you into the STR space?
So the reason why I'm here is because I left my job at ServiceSource, which was a small public company, and it was doing recurring revenue solutions for blue chip SaaS companies. And really what it was is that I was doing good work there. I actually loved the team and I loved the work that I was doing, but I felt like at the end of the day, like what was like the tangible impact of what I was doing, it was like hard for me to figure it out. It was like, am I making analysts happier or like keep the stock prices going up? But what does that actually do? And so in thinking about my next move, I wanted to work on a product that I felt had like a real tangible impact on its customers on a day-to-day basis. And I was really drawn to small businesses and trying to help them with whatever they need to do. Because I think I love small businesses and I love local businesses. So that's really what drew me into the industry. I also was able to find this through my co-founders, David, and eventually Steph. David was running an Airbnb short-term rental unit out of his house here in San Francisco. So he was feeling some of the pain around guest communications and managing that unit. And so that's how we got started on this specific STR space product.
Was it through that experience that you also came to believe that the whole industry needed a new infrastructure?
It really took me a while to understand what was going on. The industry was so new at that time. This is in 2015. And the idea of software to run small businesses was still kind of new. Like the only companies that were out there that had done very well were like Toast or like MindBody Online. And so the idea of having like a specific small, a software dedicated to one industry was really new. People were still using HubSpot and Salesforce and kind of using those kind of horizontal tools. So it took me a little bit of time, but then I think when the big aha moment came around the time when we combined forces with Steph's company, which was called Orbi Rental at the time. And we saw that property managers needed a way to get reservations, and the OTAs, like the online travel agencies, Airbnb, Booking.com, and Vrbo, were just at that time releasing APIs so that we could possibly connect, right, a system that would allow property managers to facilitate reservations and really run their business and generate revenue. So it was like, I feel so lucky because it was around the time when I understood what was going on, that the industry was also sort of like maturing into this new state where something that had not been possible before was now possible. And that was around like 2016, 2018, in that time frame. And then once we started digging into that even more, it just became more and more obvious that, software could solve a lot of the problems in this industry. It just needed to be built in the right way. So that's been the problem we've been working on for a while.
So is it fair to say it was the confluence both of like vertical software or vertical SaaS as a category, and then this wave of professionalization of the STR industry that came together? Is that the opportunity that you saw?
I think so. And then I think that coupled with modern ways of designing software. So this was sort of a little bit after this big wave of microservices architecture being a really big fad, which is, it's not, these things are all like, there's always some truth to them, right? Like it's probably overblown in the beginning, but software tools were being built differently at that time. So you could build something more quickly that, allowed different systems to talk to each other more in an easier way. Companies were just starting to use RESTful APIs en masse. So I think it was like a bunch of things happening at the same time that put us in a really good position to be able to become a leader. I have to tell you, though, there were definitely times around that time, 2018, 2019, where I was like, this is crazy. Like, there's so many competitors coming into the market. There was like this time when it felt like there were like 50 different PMSs at these trade shows that we'd go to. And I was like, well, how are we possibly going to, make it through? And I remember just asking myself, like, is this a worthy problem for us to be working on? But one thing that we always did at Hostfully was we care a lot about our customers and we care about running a good company. And so the act of doing Hostfully is very fun for everybody who works here. Like, we really enjoy and love the work. And so I think that kind of kept us in it, along with the just running a good business put us in a leading position. Because at some point, like, companies just sort of started to die. I don't know how or why they died, but they sort of died around us. And I thought, oh, well, maybe we've got something here, in this company with this product. And that's when we started getting institutional funding and started leading into growth and becoming a preferred partner, and really got off on a good start with being one of the leaders in our category.
You also said that you feel that the industry is entering a more demanding chapter. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think it's really being led by guest experience expectations, or just guest expectations in general. So if you think about, a long time ago, short-term rentals were considered kind of a cottage industry, and you could sort of put up a property on Airbnb and people would stay there. But I think now people are expecting like a hotel level of quality in the experience of booking and staying and communicating with a short-term rental. So like, everything needs to work perfectly. And in order to do that, property managers need to put in more work. They need better software. They need better integrations. They need everything to like be, performative. Like, they need to open the app and get the information right away and be able to answer, a guest query right away, provide the solution. And so I think that like everything needs to fire on full cylinders. And in comparison to previous years, I felt like people would be delighted to see like basic functionality in a PMS and just be, excited to see multiple reservations on one calendar. And now it's like each reservation needs to be containing all of the detailed information, and it needs to interact with all the other data in the property management system perfectly. So the demanding chapter is, it's really about guest expectations. And I think overlaying AI on top of that too, like, heightens expectations for everybody to deliver an experience that's personalized and even more accurate and faster and more streamlined. So I think we're all kind of like struggling with that together. But it's a great problem to solve. It means our industry is growing up.
Yeah, and it's a quite interesting and exciting time, I think, with AI completely changing those expectations, right? Like, you suddenly have to respond immediately, and you have to know everything because that's what an AI does. And now you're expecting the same of the host. So we're excited to see what comes next.
Exactly.
On the Hostfully side, you both work with a lot of distribution platforms like Airbnb and Booking, other OTAs, and you also do direct booking websites. What do you think about the balance between platform dependence and maybe brand independence for property managers?
Yeah, I think it's, every property manager needs to navigate this on their own. Like, I think there are great businesses built both ways, to be honest with you. I think some property managers really want to have a differentiated brand, where a direct booking site just makes that brand experience all the better, right? And financially, that makes sense for them. I think others are going to have this more networked set of properties that, are a little bit more brandless, right? It's just more about like a convenient, consistent guest experience. And so we want to enable both at Hostfully. We want to make it easy for a customer to decide and make that choice for themselves about like how they want to manage their direct bookings. For sure, we want to facilitate direct bookings when we can, because that's important for some property managers. But yeah, I mean, we see ourselves always going to be, leaning really hard into our OTA partnerships with Vrbo and Booking and Airbnb and Google and whoever else, we're working with. And then also supporting with direct bookings as well. So it's kind of a combined strategy, we want at Host to be flexible enough, right, to be able to suit those different types of needs that property managers have. We don't want to tell people what to do, but rather support them in what they want.
Do you see some mistakes that are common when operators are setting up their distribution strategy?
I think one mistake is underestimating the amount of marketing that it takes to really drive traffic to your direct booking site. Like, it's just, marketing is challenging, especially in this world. I mean, we have new channels with all the LLMs and GEO, and now we do have people who are booking by going into Claude or ChatGPT and typing in "where should I stay," and they're getting links served up to them there. So I don't think that's the way the whole industry is going to go anytime soon, because people like to look at photos, and that's not a very image rich experience. But I think that overlooking marketing, so like we've seen property managers invest a lot of money into a direct booking site, only to find out that they have to invest even more money in marketing strategy, and so that can be harder. But I think that what the benefit of what that gives you is, if you have an engine that works for you, you can attract the right kind of guests to your property that are probably a little higher quality, and you get more revenue per reservation because you don't have to pay the fees to the OTAs. So it's a mixed bag. But yeah, there are mistakes.
Another major theme in Hostfully's offering is automation. Where do you feel that automation is genuinely improving the guest experience, and where is the industry maybe risking losing that human touch that makes it interesting?
AI in this way can do so much, right? Like, this is kind of where it shines. But what we've learned about using AI at Hostfully, and this is not even just in our own products that we deliver to customers, but also in our own operations, is that the AI is only going to be as good as how well you teach it. And so when it comes to automating the guest experience, one of the things that we've been really thoughtful about is using the content that's in our digital guidebooks to inform the answers that a property manager will want to give, all the way down to like the tone that the property manager will be using in the conversations with their guests. And so like, how much can automation really impact? A lot is the answer. I mean, I actually think that there is a world in which many guests will stay at a property manager and never interact with the person, but they won't really even know it. And that's okay. And there is a time when, it needs to be escalated to include some human touch, and we want to encourage that too. But one of the things I was going to say is that we use AI with our customer support, and we've had customers ask to talk to the AI instead of a human because they're getting such good results. And it just speaks to how fast an AI can learn and ingest information, right? So like, an AI tool is going to be able to ingest new help documentation and new, product feature launch information faster than a human. And so in some cases, they're going to be a better response. But I think, we love at Hostfully offering phone support. We love like having a human overseeing a lot of the quality control around that AI driven automation. So just to be totally clear, like humans are very much still involved. But I love that story. Like we actually have it happen many, many times. Like, can I just go back to talking to the AI?
Yeah,
So,
we actually so we do the same at Minut, right? Like you have humans, and you have humans training the AI, training or doing the customer support, and we hit a milestone recently where the AI actually has a higher customer satisfaction rating than the people, and I don't see that as in any way like reflecting badly on the people, because obviously they are the ones that have made the AI so good
that are training
that they
the
can
AI.
get to that. Yeah.
So the AI is basically them at their best. And then
yeah. And it doesn't get tired, and it doesn't run out of patience. And, like, I'm sure you as well, you get like the occasional, thing go wrong, and sometimes customers can be rightfully quite upset, and emotional. And of course, like AI is very good at like meeting people, at the level that they need, and talking them down.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, we have actually the CSAT scores I think are about comparable on ours. But yeah, that is something that we've been looking at too. It's very interesting. But we keep on growing the number of cases that are resolved by AI. And it's a really exciting time for our support teams, because they're getting to be, really involved in building that out. And so like I think that that's an exciting growth opportunity for everyone to work on together. It's like they get to be more of like a pilot as opposed to a flight attendant when they're servicing customers. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
I like to think of it more like a machine operator compared to like actually doing the work of the past. So if you look ahead 5 years, like what are the areas that property managers are under preparing for today? Like when you see these waves of technology coming, like everyone is looking at chatbot, but what else is there?
Yeah, I do think that the physical space is very important. And I think that software is going to become more and more commoditized, unfortunately, for us. And I think, it's good. I think there's a lot more we can be doing to support the activities of property manager. And frankly, I'm like not scared about this at Hostfully. I think we're going to be just fine. But I think that like the physical experience needs to rise with the rest of it, that it hasn't, like standards around bed quality and sheets quality and access, lock boxes and stuff like that. So if I'm a property manager, I'm going to think about how do I like future proof like physically my properties. That also goes to like things about like energy usage and energy costs, and thinking about ways to tap into like renewable energy sources to be able to power your vacation rentals, and but doing it in a way that is like sustainable. I mean, I think like that actually is going to become a bigger deal than we're appreciating right now. There's an open question also about the overall guest experience outside the accommodation, and like how much we should be managing that together. I would say as a software ecosystem, like should we be making travel recommendations, to somebody who's coming? And I think the answer is yes. But I think that the old model of like calling up a travel agent and being like, here are my interests, and they put together a static itinerary for you, and then you book with them and they set up all the vendors. Like I think that's going to change, because I think that the ability for all of that coordination to happen has really accelerated, but we haven't felt it yet. And so, software tools in our industry need to work with that better. And I'm excited actually about that. In fact, I've been like doing a little bit of vibe coding, and it's all been around itinerary buildings with my kids. And so like, I can see though how, you give AI the opportunity to look at like a Google Places AI and just know like when things are open, and is it kid friendly, and is it good for lunch or dinner, and what are the hours, and how much does it cost, and where is it located, and get there on public transportation. Like all of that stuff is like actually very easy for AI to manage, because it's all structured data. So I think that there will be easier ways for property management software to tap into that and make for a more seamless experience.
I love that. I'm doing some of the same, and I'm a parent as well. And like traveling with kids is a whole different dimension from doing it alone. And I found that the LLMs are actually really good at taking into account the nap times and all of the logistics that there is around traveling as a parent in a way that like an off-the-shelf OTA, etc., can't really do.
Yeah, and then I don't know. You should think about doing this, but I built a thing for my kids to be able to choose, because like you also want to give some agency to your kids, like especially when they're traveling, because it's kind of a stressful experience. So it gets them kind of excited about what you're going to do. So I built like a gamified experience where I knew the days that we were going to be in New York. I knew where we were staying already, but then I asked the AI to sort of like construct a quiz, and it was sort of like a gamified experience. Like, do you like trains better or buses? And do you like, it was like, would you rather, I don't know. It was just like a bunch of like fun quiz type questions. And then at the end, it would like pump out an itinerary that it would actually make sense with like all the different locations we were going to. So it's pretty powerful that way. Of course, then I tried to make it work in San Diego for my daughter. It didn't work. I got to rebuild it from scratch, which I think is how my goes these days. But I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, I think if I let my kids do this, we'd be on buses all day, and that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, well, that's basically what I did. I was on a bus. We rode every subway train in Manhattan almost. So,
if you were starting Hostfully again today, what are the things you would do differently?
I think I would have been more focused on on making money faster. It took us. We started the company around 2016, and then around 2018 is when we started to really make money. And I think I would have like tried to go after that a little bit faster. I give a lot of credit to my co-founder, David, who was the one hustling to get the customers on board. And I probably should have been closer to that. So like, that's something I personally should have done differently. I also think like having the expectation that this is a quick thing was terrible expectation. Never start a startup unless you have an opening in your mind that it could go on for 10 years. It takes a while sometimes to get things going. And let's see, what else would I do differently? I think just like, making sure that the people you have in the boat, your investors, your co-founders, your team, it's so important. And not having tolerance for bad actors is also really important too. Like they'll slow you down more than you realize.
Yeah. Sage advice.
Yeah. We didn't have any bad ones, just to be clear, but like I think I've learned that, more later on in my career.
Yeah. Final question. What's the most unexpected story that happened to you while building Hostfully?
Well, I think the amazingness of the team and this ecosystem of companies and partners and people in this industry, the travel industry is so fun. Like, we should take advantage of the fact that we're all in the travel industry. I've been in B2B SaaS before. It is not as fun. So I think it's like just bringing together a bunch of people who love travel and love welcoming guests. It's just such a joy. I did not expect that. And it's one of the reasons I love doing what I do every day.
Such a great answer. I love this industry as well. I feel like it's one of the most collaborative ones there are, and people are so friendly. So fully agree with that. Thank you so much for joining, Margot. It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming, and I'm sure I'll see you soon again.
Yes, look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you for listening to Minute by Minute. If today's episode gave you fresh insight, be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Share this episode with your team and follow us on social media to continue the conversation and exchange your own operational stories. To learn more about privacy-first property protection, visit minut.com. Until next time, make every minute count to maintain your property's safety.